Hi guys, as you can see, today we're doing the video intro at home since at the place we went to record we couldn't do it because we could barely talk. It was a grocery store that was set up. The shop also had a hair salon. Even the owner's house came, who had Diogenes syndrome because it was brutally full of stuff. I mean, it was insane. We could barely walk, and since it was such a small town, it was under a lot of surveillance. We had a dog in front of us that wouldn't stop barking. Every time we talked to each other or made any noise, it would bark at the 10. In fact, two neighbors from the town started talking to each other because they thought someone had come in since we made noise when we entered. And I'm going to leave you with a clip from the video of right after we entered so you can see the situation we were in. As you could see, the situation wasn't very good for making the video, so I couldn't include the sound in the video. And I did a voiceover at home. I don't know if you'll like it. It's not the first time I've done it. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll leave you with the video. This store has practically everything. If it weren't for the fact that the ceiling has collapsed, it would be completely intact. As you can see, there are cigarettes there, packs of cigars. Even a coin. They sold everything, from tobacco, alcohol, everything. It was like a grocery store of the time. Here's a whole carton of good tobacco cigars. It's practically like new. Look at the decay of this place. If the roof hadn't collapsed, it would be amazing to visit this. Still, it's really interesting to see how many things are still left inside, as if time had barely passed. Are the knives that new? Is everything ready to sell? Look at this detail. These are the scissors that the clerk would use to open boxes or cut anything he needed. They're still in place. And there's absolutely everything, even tapes for recording, but brand new. I mean, I leave everything inside. Let's see what else is around here. Notebooks, sneakers, you had everything, even clothes. I made a bit of a mess here. We're going to have to pick them up and put them back in place carefully, since they're practically new. The only thing that's dirty is the matchbox. They're better there. These display cases are a bit stuck and we can't try to open them because they make quite a lot of noise. It's a shame, but there are people nearby and they've already called the police more than once, from what we've been able to see. And we don't want them to mess with us, the exploration. in its bag, like new. Shirts, scarves, and everything in place. It was impressive to visit this place. I think those are scarves. And look at how everything is, huh? I mean, you have to walk really slowly to try to make as little noise as possible. And let's see this. I think these were shoes. We try to take it out as carefully as possible since we don't want to be hurt. The neighbors know perfectly well how many things are in here. And well, they must have tried to come and steal more than once, and they keep a close watch on the place. Oh no, they're socks. Ready to use? As I was saying, the neighbors know very well everything that's in here. They don't want word to get out and people to start coming to steal because there are a lot of things inside. That's why it's so closely guarded. Oh. I mean, it's pretty hard to be in here without getting caught. Getting in isn't all that hard. What's hard is being able to stay inside without them knowing you're in here. Mostly because of the dog you have in front of you. That doesn't stop barking. As soon as it hears anything, it barks. We couldn't even talk in here. Pajamas. There is absolutely everything here. In every box we open, there's a new item, even still packaged. We try to leave everything pretty much as we found it, so that time doesn't damage it. Congratulations. And there, it actually looks like some kind of rodent got in there to make a nest. Sorry about the camera movements, but as you can see, that's how the floor is. I couldn't use the stabilizer either, and it's pretty hard to film in these situations, but well, we try to do the best we can. Look, in each box there were screws, nails, everything you needed, like a hardware store. This, we could say, would be the hardware section. And look at this, how interesting, this briefcase. It's a painting case for oil painting. Did you even have your little wooden palette to put the paint on? It was really very nice, and it practically had everything. I don't think anything was missing. It was very well preserved. And to keep it that way, we're going to leave it in the same place where we found it. There really are shoes here. It's just that everything was full of stuff. And these drawers couldn't be opened, but we understand that all the screws that were outside are also the ones that were inside. Look, all the pencils are in place. The pens, the books, notebooks. It's amazing to find places like this. In places, there are very few like this. I'm not really sure what that is. Look, just look at the illustration on the boxes. It's amazing how they used to do things before. Even a box had as many details as possible. It was pretty hard to walk around here, to keep moving. But anyway, we really enjoyed this exploration, and I hope you are enjoying it too. We heard something here outside, I think. A big part of the exploration, Misama and we stayed still, doing nothing, because we could hear people outside. Or we heard the dog that had smelled us and started barking at us. It was a bit of a complicated situation. Here we have bottles of ink. Strong ink. And again, back on the site. As it should be. I think those were notebooks. Yes, notebooks. The number of objects on the floor. They practically didn't let us walk. It had absolutely everything, since in this town the only store there was this one. Right now there isn't any. And the only one there was back then was this one. So it had to have everything, and that's how it was. It had absolutely everything. It covered everything. Yeah, we even found firecrackers that you'll see later on. Look at this set that's completely equipped with all the accessories, even a camping pot. And a set of a cup, so to speak, with a little plate in its original packaging. moving around here, I'm telling you, was very complicated. That's why there are so many camera movements and we couldn't stay steady at any moment. Because there isn't any flat surface, so to speak, to say. God keep you. Here, as you can see in the front, we have a display of Chocolatina chocolates. It would rather be Louis Chocolates. Didn't you know that brand? In this showcase here, we would have the pharmaceutical products, so to speak. Painkiller. Sloan's liniment. And with the bottle inside, let's see if we can get it out. That's awesome. What a place. There are so many interesting things here. We could spend a whole day here. Baby balm. Getting through this area here was pretty complicated, but well, little by little we're moving forward. And a set of cutlery for children. But they weren't plastic, they were metal. And a ring. I'm not really sure what I would be doing there. And here, parts of the ceiling have already fallen down. Here, if I'm not mistaken, they had sewing stuff in this part. But I'm telling you, keeping your balance here was pretty complicated. All that while I'm recording, so that's why the footage isn't that great either, but we did the best we could. Also, a lot of these drawers couldn't be opened. I don't really know what it is. I don't know if it's thread. I think it's thread, but I'm not sure. In this part here, we tried to go up the stairs, which are practically destroyed, up to the piece that's left of the upper part. The bad thing is that the floor was made of wood and it was sloping forward a bit, and it wasn't completely safe, but even so, I tried. Even though I couldn't make it all the way to the end, but well, at least we were able to see what was left in the display cases above. And that's where I wanted to go, to that whole way up there. Well, I'm telling you, it was practically impossible. It was too risky. even though I tried. I tried to climb up that wooden railing, but since it was made of wood, it moved a little. I didn't trust that it could hold all my weight, so I gave up. And well, but as you can see, all these display cases here still had things in them like an exhibition. An absolutely amazing place. Now we're in the part that was the living area, and as you can see, the owner was a bit of a hoarder. And here you can see a firecracker display case with a bunch of firecrackers inside the display case. We can't really record much in this area either because people can see us directly from the street and they look inside. We tried to get through as quickly as possible, looking to see if there was anything worth recording, but like we said, he was a hoarder. We don't know if he had Diogenes syndrome or what. This part? Is it a house or a bar? Because there were some bottles there, so we're not really sure. Because there was so much stuff and we had to turn off the flashlights so they wouldn't see us from outside. But it had everything. The store, the house, the hair salon. I mean, that store had an endless number of things. This place itself. And be amazed at where we had to go through. And all of this without making any noise? Look at how it was. Everything was amazing. We had to turn off the flashlight so they wouldn't see us from outside. But it was inevitable to have to turn it on because you didn't even know where you were stepping. After a long time trying to cross all that pile of stuff, making as little noise as possible, we reached this kind of room that belonged to the house. But we could hardly move because of the amount of stuff on the floor and on top of the furniture. Look over there at those bottles, even some flowers which I guess were plastic. The bad thing is that there were a lot of plastic bottles on the floor, and when you walked, if you stepped on them they made a huge noise and the dog would immediately start barking. It's a pretty complicated situation, but well, we tried to reach every corner we could. Look at what we managed to find among so many objects. We even found cell phones that must have been about 20 years old. Among all this ruin? Look, a television and everything back there. I don't know how someone can reach this level of hoarding, but there was absolutely everything. This part, as you can see, was the hair salon area. I mean, they also had a hair salon. And look at the chairs, but also at the amount of stuff piled up. It was very difficult to get there. There were even empty bottles of water, oil, anything. You know, they didn't throw away even the containers. In the end, we managed to get to where all the hairdressing supplies were. So, but didn't you have a place to record? I had the camera in one hand, the flashlight in the other, and you had to keep your balance. At this point, we reached a staircase next to the hair salon that took us directly to the apartment. But even on the staircase, there was a buildup of stuff. And many of these were from the store. They were items reserved for the store. He used his own house as a warehouse, so to speak, even though the store, from what we've seen, was more than stocked. This in itself is what we believe would be his house, because it looked the most like a home. even a typewriter, but there were just countless objects. This was a room you couldn't even walk through because the accumulation of things was absolute. I mean, I don't know how he managed to fit so many things in here. There's even a crucifix there, as far as we can tell. Right there, just below the bed, should be under all that stuff. And all of this is stuff for the store. Most of the things that were here. Here we have what is another room, also full of things. And what impressed me about this room was the television, this one that was completely new, still packaged. I mean, a television probably from the 80s or mid 80s. Practically new. I mean, it was new. Just needed to be plugged in and turned on. I also found the clock here. It's hard to show it with both hands occupied. There were objects everywhere. Everywhere. It was overwhelming to be in there. It was very stressful to film a place like that. And there, as you can see, there's some kind of Virgin Mary or Jesus Christ on some kind of pedestal. Look at what we found here, a really old radio, and this one was able to tune into other countries from what we could see. Here, we found level 3 thunder firecrackers to be exact, even more boxes with firecrackers inside, and this was all for the store.